you for staying so long. This is the last part, like the coolest part. You know, we talk about the books, and when we talk about the books, I'm the happiest person in the world. So thank you, Stefan, for bringing your like huge books here. Like ours gonna be something like that, you know. But I was really, really happy that we got this opportunity to present your new book, because it deals with the period that is actually like almost like a predecessor to what was happening in Belgrade around that time. And I think it's quite important because different areas in Europe didn't really receive influence from graffiti culture directly from New York. It was actually more from other European countries, and that changed the narrative a little bit. So thanks again for kind of agreeing to do this ad hoc. And just to introduce our colleague Alexander, if you don't know him, he has been photographing the streets and graffiti and street art for more than 20 years. This is his first book, Belgrade, Street Art Belgrade, which is basically the only book about the local scene that was ever published that made sense. And so, yeah, thank you for that as well. This was pre our collaboration, but I think this was one of the reasons why we're collaborating. And with that said, I'm going to leave discussion to you guys. And after that, we're going partying.
So let's make this short. Let the party begin. So before we party, just a short introduction. So we have your book. It is your actually latest book. You have published several books as far as I know.
Yeah, it's one of the latest books.
One of the latest, yeah.
But this is the biggest one that I've ever published. I published together with my partner Mike Hettinger some months ago, but now we are working on the second issue, or second part of the book. The aim was to document what was never have been documented before. So we knew there were some photos, some information, some people who were part of the history from the old school that are still living, but it felt a little bit like a puzzle, and you had to connect all those parts of this puzzle to one thing, and then the book was the result from that.
So actually you gathered photos from other people and
yes,
put them together and made sense out of it.
Yes,
so
and
say,
we also tried to find really those photos that never have been published before.
Perfect.
So we knew the start was quite about 1984. The first goal was to document everything until from 1984 until today. The book would have been twice as thick as this book. So we will probably still work on it. So it is a good idea to separate this into two parts. So the second part will then be from 2015 maybe. And yeah.
Yeah, okay, and how did you, for example, that would be interesting.
How did we do that? Yeah.
How did you manage? Yeah. So first of all, how to get the people? Second question, selection. Because I get back in the days there was probably not so much pictures from 85 or something.
I think the first thing that we did was buying a photo scanner and TIA scanner and negative scanner, because we were scanning like 30,000 analog photos. And this took us many nights to do this. Yeah. So we were just like sitting in the office and scanning. And this was the easiest part, I think. The hardest part was to find these people who have those photos. We met many people who we know that they have those photos, but sometimes they are in like a cellar somewhere, and they don't want to search for them. So we know some photos exist, but they are not inside of the book. So there could have been much more, but we tried our best. I also have some photos from the making of. Maybe it's interesting to show. I did it together with Mike Hettinger. So this the first thing is when you're starting to investigate or when you're trying to work on a book. Like as you heard, I'm documenting for almost 25 years now. Next year is the 25th birthday of Spray City. First of all, we were going through Vienna and we were looking what is still preserved, what is still there from the late.
And did you find any?
Yeah, this was what we were most happy about it, because we found something from 1984.
Wow.
Which is still here. Not in that form. Nowadays there's one tag on the right side from I think a younger writer who didn't knew what he's destroying. But yeah, it's part of the time.
It's
so like
84.
It's 84. So it's the colors are pretty faded. Yeah, but this was the first aim to just check what it's still there. We know Seco, the guy who painted this, was part of the spray can art book published by Henry Chalfant and James Brigoff in, I think, 1986. And luckily there was in the book, in the spray can art book, there were 2 or 3 names mentioned responsible for the Viennese photos. So we tried to investigate if those people are still living, and luckily we found one of them, and then we got also some photos.
Yeah, amazing.
Also this was found by us. It's also from 1984. It's a break tag. You can hardly see it, but the interesting thing is, like, it's painted on a school building, and when they renovated the house, they left the break tag. So maybe somebody knew about the history, and because also like in many other European countries, breakdance was really common in the 1980s. So the first graffiti that appeared were referring to breakdance, hip hop, Curtis Blow, and all those stuff.
Yeah, cool.
So these were the first, and some of them are hidden. This is not that old. It's from, I think, 1991. We were also lucky when we found that, because when it was painted, all this, I think it's for Christmas trees to pack them. All this stuff was not in front of that. So this.
Did you move this?
No, it's
okay,
there's another piece on the back, but you can hardly see it.
Because I wouldn't know what to do in that situation. You know, it's like crazy to move all this.
Our intention was to go there before Christmas when all these
are gone.
these are gone, but we never did it.
Okay.
Or like some of those from the 90s are still here, but not visible in the whole thing. So this was done by Ron in 1995, I think. So they renovated only the upper part. It's really interesting because when you look at other cities, like for example, I think it's in Switzerland, in Basel, or also in Berlin, I think there are so many pieces preserved from the 90s and or some from the 80s. But in Vienna, it's really hard to find them. So you have to know where they are. So this is a little bit outside of Vienna. There's also something left from the 1980s. This was more a political graffiti thing. There was a political demonstration where they wanted to build a power plant somewhere in the nature. And next to that there was a bridge, and the bridge was completely covered with graffiti in the 1980s. And it's in the flooding area, so the water floods when the Danube spreads, and so most of this graffiti is gone, but we could find some of this.
So you had also these like political graffiti, you have them also mentioned?
Yes, the interesting thing is mostly we wanted to document the writing, the graffiti writing history. But when you are looking at the history of writing, it's just a small part of the whole history. So we tried to expand it a little bit. We wanted to show and also investigate how it came to this development of the writing community.
Because I saw this part with the antique.
Yeah, so this is from the Roman time also, and also from before the writing movement, like when graffiti was painted, but not with the names only.
Yeah.
So also political stuff is
so it's
important.
also mentioned, it's in the book as predecessor to these 80s movements that came the writing that came
Yeah,
with the
so
80s.
there's
So,
like
perfect.
the prehistory before
Prehistory,
1984, before the 80s. Also like those punk graffiti, because not breakdance was essential for the development of graffiti in Vienna. In the beginning of the 1980s, I think it was.
There was this famous crass, you know, like this.
Yeah, from the crass, but I think it was not the stencil. It was painted with a marker, I think.
There was one thing, and there was also the stencil. I think they also have it on a record, something like that. But so they used this like a stencil, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, but it's the punk. Actually, the story
done in an occupied house. So like this squatting movement was really important for graffiti from the beginning of the 1980s. So like 1982 there was a big squatting, and when there was punk graffiti.
In Vienna there was this squatting actually was strong in the 80s, yeah?
Yes, it was really strong in the 80s. From 1982 there was the first big squatting at Gasse, the so-called Gaga. And later on, in 1986, there was also every of these squatted houses is completely painted with mostly with like similar than text. So the people started to make like their own names a little bit. So it's quite
like a mixture.
Yeah, mixture. Maybe it has some influence also from other, like in the Netherlands, for example, punk graffiti was really common. But
so cool.
There are so many. There was so many stuff that we were looking for and found.
And, question: are there any edited photos coming up, or because the question would be how just exactly what I wanted to ask you. How much editing did you do?
We tried to find out what was actually there. It's not that really. We just were experimenting in different Photoshop contrast things, and it's not really professional. Maybe you can do it better, but for us it was we could see what it is.
Yeah.
And on this wall there was also a little bit on the left. There was also Hainburg mentioned, and Hainburg was this where the bridge is located. So it could be definitely be from the 1980s. Yeah, and this was the thing when we collected all those photos. It was really hard to find all those people. So first of all, we asked all the people that we know, and then it spread a little bit. So
yeah, because I can imagine that at that time we mentioned it, 36 pictures you could take on a film. So people actually did not tend to waste it on. Something
interestingly, I don't know if they wasted it, but sometimes we found some photos, some films where only one or two panels on the train were documented. So they shoot the whole film to maybe hide those films somewhere and not in the camera. So they did like 20, or I think it was a bigger film. So they shoot the whole film and hide it maybe later.
Because that was the idea. People actually, how much they did really shoot at that time, because nowadays you have like digital cameras and you can shoot as much as you want, but at that time you had like these 36 shots, and I remember the times that you were like really thinking about it. Do I need a shot? How much have I left for the party tonight or whatever? So so you could
because when I started as Presidiographer, I was also photographing on film, so this problem.
Me too, actually. So I know, and you have to think, because I had maybe one or two rolls. It was Sunday or whatever. You couldn't get any more film, so you had to calculate how much you still have. So okay, cool. So you had this huge amount of images. Then you had to classify them.
First of all, we also got a lot of black books. So this is a black book of a famous writer from the 1990s who died in 2005. But we had the opportunity to also get his photos or his black book, and these black books are like a gold mine, because they were done by the writers themselves, and the photos are dated. And this is another big problem that I'm coming back. You have these amounts of photos. You have 30,000 photos scanned. Sometimes it's on the back of the photo, there's some, but you also don't know if this is the right
time when it was taken or printed or whatever. Yeah.
And when you have these black books, it's really easier to say when which piece was painted.
Yeah, to have the dates, perfect.
But also it was difficult because this in this black book sometimes the writers put these collages together. Like you have to unfold it, and it's not so easy to scan it. And we were thinking about erase these connection parts, but we finally put it in the book like it was documented.
Yeah, that's another question. How much editing? We had it in this example where you couldn't see anything, but how much editing is acceptable? So, for example, if you have like two pictures that could be put together, would you put them together, or would you leave? No,
I think not. The only thing that we edited was like, so here's the original photo from that piece that's still standing.
Okay.
As you can see, we only put a little bit effort in the contrast. That it's
it's
like,
the same thing I actually did.
It's not. I don't want to mix a lot in these photos.
Because we talked about it, there are people who are like heavily editing the images and maybe making some like worn walls, worn graffiti look better because it's optically and
sometimes also I know that some people are like putting much more into the contrast and it looks much brighter. But we wanted to preserve it like it was.
Because the same thing we had here. We added a little like color and contrast, but not, or we tried not to go too far from the original look, and especially not removing any objects or something like that. It is how it is. So
only thing that we removed were like faces and
of course.
Sometimes the car plates.
Same thing in our book.
So it was really nice when we found this original photo. And there are also some parts in between. So also we came back to this what Herd says with the temporality. So we have like when it was painted 1984. We have some photo from the 1990s also, and this is from I think 5 years ago.
So 20, and that's a beautiful illustration of this quality that graffiti have, and that's this temporality.
It's like negatives.
These are the slides,
from Dia slides.
Cool.
Also, not only the photos, we are also investigating on newspaper articles, and they are only preserved on these films. Microfilms, So I don't know if everybody is common with that, but you will just get these cassettes, and one of these films is there are like thousands of articles, and you can slide through it. And we knew that in the 1980s there had to be some of them, and we found a lot of them.
Perfect. Because I remember these things, I know these things, but that's so. Like, I think they gave it up in the 90s or something, like end of the 90s, so it's really like ancient.
We had them until 2005.
So
but this was done in the library, so it's the only
microfilms. Cool.
And also like news in the TV news, there was also many interviews, and this is also from the 90s, where the people there was a big bust movement, like they busted 50 young writers, and then they came to the television with their faces and had to explain why they did that. So it's really a strange setting, I think.
And
because you can see, they had to say like how much damage they did. Then there was this like, they wrote then the name and how I did 60,000 shilling damage, and you can see it in the faces of all of them. That's
it's public shaming.
Strange, really strange setting, I think.
Where did you find this?
I don't want to blame the writers. I'm more blaming the television for doing this.
Where did you find this?
We were also investigating the whole ORF, the public television archive.
Cool.
But it's also difficult because you have to get these, you have to order these, all these articles or like these documentations, and you have to pay for it.
And they have it digitized actually, probably?
No, they are digitizing for you, but you have to pay per minute, I think. So we still don't have everything ordered, but from the 80s, from 1980s, everything is preserved. Yeah, and of course, the printed newspaper articles, yeah, like also Tanz quasi. Tanz means dancing, like it's the Austrian or German word, because they wanted to combine this new New York thing with the traditional Austrian housing projects.
But they still use breakdance in the text.
Yeah,
the title is only breakdance. Sounds crazy. Okay.
But these newspaper articles, we came back to 1977. So 1977 was the earliest newspaper article about New York graffiti writing mentioned in Austria. And this is pretty. Yeah, it's really, really old, I think, because usually you can find those articles around the beginning of the 1980s, and in the 70s it's in Austria.
Very rare. Cool.
But you don't find much from the 70s.
From the 70s, yeah, of course.
And in this article, it was they said like it was like a little bit humoristic and criticizing about the older subways, the Stadtbahn, and like in this article, they said like we are doing like a contest who brings the first photo with a painted Stadtbahn or something. Also interesting article.
So they challenged.
A little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, a little bit of a challenge.
But we couldn't find any proof that somebody did it in the 70s. Yeah.
Cool, but it's like great that it is mentioned at least. You know, at 77. So
and there were also some photos in the article. The article can be found in the book as well. There are some photos from New York writing from the trains also inside
the
there.
70s, yeah, cool. So that's
these are all slides of my.
That's okay, cool. So anyway, this is actually part one. You're planning part two.
We are already working on part. So the how we try to collect the photos and how we editing it, and I think all the photo parts of the second issue are already finished, and now we work on text.
I guess it's easier.
It's
to find
easier,
people and photos,
and we already have this in the layout, but the text are still missing. So.
But it will be also like research and
yeah, for sure. It will be like the same format and same layout and same approach, I think.
So you can really put it next to this one,
yes.
And it's a continuum.
And maybe after 2015, or when we end it, then will be the third one. But let's see.
To have the time, yeah. Because we're also doing this first one was like more like images that you could see on the streets. It's like it was published 2016. It's like 10 years back or something like that. And for the next one that I'm doing with Liliana and Srđan Tonić, our colleague, we intend also to have like more research, to have more like stories about writers, what motivated them, how they came to work on walls and not on other media and so on. So it will be also a little more research, not as thorough as this. This is really like amazing. I read it through. It's like amazing. So that's it. And let's see if maybe there are some questions from the audience. If you have something. So, okay, that's it. Lilia has a question. Of course, Lilia, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, so my question is following. So you've been studying art history, but you've been doing research about graffiti for much, much longer. So for me, it's like I did it the other way around. I started doing art history, and then through art history developed my huge love for graffiti. I wanted to ask you, like, did you actually learn anything useful in art history that helped you make sense of graffiti in a certain way?
Yeah, I think for sure the scientific methods, but for me, when I look back on my art history studies, the graffiti part starts and ends with Banksy. So all those professors only knew Banksy, and why you don't write about Banksy? And yeah, yes, and this, yes, and I managed to write my bachelor thesis about Austrian graffiti exhibitions. Then, although the professor said that I should write about Banksy. What I saw in art history that it's like a little bit copy and paste. So people are writing about the same content and topics again and again, and nothing new is investigated. So the research is like frozen a little bit. And in the graffiti or street art field, there is a lot of stuff not yet discovered and not yet researched, I think. So this was also my intention to keep up with these art history studies, but yeah, hope that, yeah.
Do you also paint or just photo?
I also paint, but I started in 2001, but nowadays sometimes, because I don't have that much time, I have to see if I'm investing time into painting or into documenting or photographing. So I try to paint like 3 or 4 times per month. So on legal walls.
Okay, cool. So if we don't have any further questions,
maybe I can add because. First I started to paint, and then in the same time I recognized, or I saw that nobody is documenting. This was the time when 2001 the graffiti magazines were existing, but also the graffiti documentation internet also started. So when I started the webpage, and you couldn't basically don't find much graffiti from Austria, from Vienna on the internet. So this is also the aim for me to start document it also and archivate it also for mine. So it's, yeah, I did both more or less. I started both together, like painting and documenting.
Yeah. That's it for now. Thank you very much for your questions, and we come to the part where we do a conclusion and closing. So, Lilia, would you like to close the conference? Thank you very much.
Right, so to conclude today, we talked about a lot of different things. Everything revolves around graffiti culture and street art. The thing is, graffiti culture used to be thought of as something really bad in most of the European countries. In Serbia, not so much. But then with the street art hype, everything became street art and everything became like super sellable and super popular. And as you said, like Banksy ruined us forever and ever. Even though I do appreciate some of his work, even though I think it's a community and not just one person. And this brought us to a new precipice where like you have graffiti everywhere. Like I literally saw that one French bank printed the card with the design from one old school graffiti writer, which for me doesn't really make much sense. So we are approaching the period where we really have to fight for the original meaning and the original sense of what graffiti culture is and what street art is, and why do we want to preserve it. And this is why I think today's conference was an important One, not only for Belgrade, but I think in general, because like what you guys do, and I believe what we do, is something that is going to give maybe a better picture of what graffiti culture and street art are and how they function at this particular point of time for the future researchers that will come in 20 or 30 years. So thank you very much for contributing. I mean, I know that, this might be, great location for graffiti and street art. So, you don't get to see much of it, but, it's a great location. But at the same time, these things are always, part of your time and your schedule. So I'm super, super happy and grateful that you have managed to dedicate this time to Belgrade and to us, and to tell us these exciting things that are happening and developing, and great books that are coming out, and amazing articles that are coming out. So please, guys, check everything, because there's so many interesting details and information that are really going to change how we talk about graffiti culture and street art in the future. After everything, I wish to thank again Austrian Cultural Forum for supporting us, to help, to thank HipCon, to thank VRHeritage, and at the end, of course, to thank European House for hosting us, because this would have been a bit tricky if they haven't really supported us in this way. So I believe it was a huge success. If not, we're going to do 0.0 version, 2.0 version, and then, we're going to become better. Thank you all again, and see you next time.